Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. We see our customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little bit better. I knew that if I failed I wouldn't regret that, but I knew the one thing I might regret is not trying. If you're not stubborn, you'll give up on experiments too soon. And if you're not flexible, you'll pound your head against the wall and you won't see a different solution to a problem you're trying to solve. I believe you have to be willing to be misunderstood if you're going to innovate. What we need to do is always lean into the future. When the world changes around you and when it changes against you, what used to be a tailwind is now a headwind. You have to lean into that and figure out what to do, because complaining isn't a strategy. The common question that gets asked in business is, why? That's a good question, but an equally valid question is, why not? Invention requires a long-term willingness to be misunderstood. Cultures aren't so much planned as they evolve from that early set of people. The best customer service is if the customer doesn't need to call you, doesn't need to talk to you. It just works. If you can't tolerate critics, don't do anything new or interesting. We're not competitor obsessed, we're customer obsessed. We start with what the customer needs and we work backwards. One of the huge mistakes people make is that they try to force an interest on themselves. You don't choose your passions choose you. You don't want to negotiate the price of simple things you buy every day. A brand for a company is like a reputation for a person. You earn reputation by trying to do hard things well. There are two kinds of companies, those that work to try to charge more and those that work to charge less. We will be the second. I think frugality drives innovation, just like other constraints do. One of the only ways to get out of a tight box is to invent your way out. What's dangerous is not to evolve. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. You need a culture that high-fives small and innovative ideas and senior executives that encourage it. If you're long-term oriented, customer interests and shareholder interests are aligned. If you don't understand the details of your business, you are going to fail. I'd rather interview 50 people and not hire anyone than hire the wrong person. In the old world, you devoted 30% of your time to building a great service and 70% of your time to shouting about it. In the new world, that inverts. If you never want to be criticized, for goodness sake don't do anything new. Life's too short to hang out with people who aren't resourceful. The human brain is an incredible pattern-matching machine. The most important single thing is to focus obsessively on the customer. Our goal is to be Earth's most customer-centric company. I believe in the power of wandering. All of my best decisions in business and in life have been made with heart, intuition, guts, not analysis. In the end, we are our choices. Build yourself a great story. You don't choose your passions choose you. There'll always be serendipity involved in discovery. Our success is a function of how many experiments we do per year, per month, per week, per day. Work hard, have fun, and make history. If you're not stubborn, you'll give up on experiments too soon. And if you're not flexible, you'll pound your head against the wall. I strongly believe that missionaries make better products. They care more. For a missionary, it's not just about the business. There has to be a business, and the business has to make sense, but that's not why you do it. You do it because you have something meaningful that motivates you. I'm skeptical of any mission that has advertisers at its centerpiece. We innovate by starting with the customer and working backwards. That becomes the touchstone for how we invent. You want your customers to value your service. Great companies are built on great products. In the long run, the best customer service is if the customer doesn't need to call you, doesn't need to talk to you. It just works. Our culture is friendly and intense, but if push comes to shove, we'll settle for intense. I don't want to use my creative energy on somebody else's user interface. If you're going to invent, you're going to disrupt. We're in a golden age of metrics. We have the ability to measure things we've never been able to measure before. When things get complicated, we simplify by saying what's best for the customer. The best customer service is if the customer doesn't need to call you, doesn't need to talk to you. It just works. What we need to do is always lean into the future, when the world changes around you and when it changes against you. What used to be a tailwind is now a headwind. You have to lean into that and figure out what to do. People who are right most of the time are people who change their minds often. I believe you have to be willing to be misunderstood if you're going to innovate.